Hey, I'm Michael, and this is Michael in the Middle. It's an intergenerational relational podcast for people who are interested in better human interaction. I'm glad you're here. Hello, friends. Thanks for being here with us during these first 20 episodes. Don't know how many you've been able to be a part of, but it's really been the honor of my life here in 2022 to have been able to launch this podcast. Michael in the Middle is designed for people who are interested in better human interaction. And I hope you're getting a sense of what it means to hear people's stories, to find out how they got in the middle of what it is that they're doing now, and that you have begun to consider how you can get in the middle of doing something good as well, because I'm sure the world could use it. And I'm sure that so many of you already are making a positive difference in the world in which you live. This is episode 21. It's the last one for 2022. And I'll give you a little tease. Episode 22 of Michael in the Middle, the first of 2023, will be out next week. And it looks like I'm going to be able to share with you a conversation that I had with our three sons, Chad, Brian, and Austin Johnson. We recorded it earlier this week, and I'm really excited about it. Hope it comes together well. If for some reason our recording is a little bit challenged, we'll figure out a way to reschedule and do it this way. But it was great to have them around the table here on our deck yesterday and enjoy a conversation with them. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Today, it's just me. It's the end of the year. I'm excited about new starts, but I'm also interested in being reminded about the importance of finishing well. And so what I'm going to do for this episode 21 is share with you a blog that I've revised a little bit that talks about finishing well. And I entitled it, Don't Give Up, Don't Quit. So here are a few thoughts here at the end of a year as we finish it off and move into a new year. I think it's applicable. In August of 2019, I was entering the final miles of the figurative marathon of a doctoral program that required a strong kick. In April of 2020, I crossed the finish line and sort of fell into a heap. The combination of exhaustion and exhilaration in finishing the degree is not dissimilar to watching marathon runners as they complete their 26.2 mile journey. The runner is equal parts amazed and overwhelmed. And as I have learned, there are many points along the way when marathoners have to push through doubt and fatigue to achieve their ultimate goal. I can, without equivocation, relate to this. I have never been a runner in the classic sense. I made school track teams as a kid, and I could occasionally steal a base during my many years of playing baseball. But to run long distances and call it fun just never made sense to me. Whenever I was running, it was to get to a certain point, and I didn't want to run for long periods of time, ever. But now, almost 3 years after completing my marathon, I'm thinking about the fact that I had more endurance in me than I ever realized. And I'm also realizing that the biggest reason I finished the degree, the race, if you will, is that I didn't quit. That's it. That's the tweet, like they used to say. I didn't quit, even when I really thought I wanted to. Since March of 2020, at least in America, we've all been running a race that at first was called 15 Days to Flatten the Curve. Anybody remember that? It soon turned into a marathon of what seemed like an interminable distance. We were all fatigued. We were all fighting the urge to turn on one another. And sadly, COVID-19 claimed an excruciating number of lives. I think it also stole a large part of our life as humans, the way we interacted with each other as humans. While the pandemic was going on, racial tension again arose across America in ways we hoped were gone for good. We had another presidential election that was more contentious than ever, and more recently, the midterm elections that only reminded us of how bitterly divided these so called United States really are. I'm not here to offer answers for how to solve the issues related to the pandemic or the racial or philosophical divides that continue to plague us. That would likely just devolve into talking points and blame gaming, because that is what happens, right? What I do want to do is offer a couple of ideas that I hope will inspire you to keep going. So, if you're taking notes, first of all, I'm really surprised. But here are some ideas for finishing well from a guy who still believes a better day is coming. Here's the first thing I think we could do. I think we could be generous. In my doctoral studies on the subject of generosity, I learned that the word in its earliest forms was taken from the Latin language and referred to a nobility of birth. It later evolved in its understanding to become a nobility of purpose. And the definition that resonated most with me was simply that generosity is the virtue of giving good things to others freely and abundantly. In terms of generosity, I also learned that there is scientific proof that even thinking about doing something good for someone else provided a positive neural response. That is, one's brain, when connected with a generous thought, reacts positively. A group led by a researcher, last name of Park, um, several different people that were working with Park specifically found that generosity and happiness improve well-being and can facilitate societal success. I mean, it's one thing to think about doing something good. It's another to cross the bridge to doing something specifically generous on behalf of another person. Bottom line is, being generous is good for your health. Second thing I think you got to be when you're uh, trying to run this marathon called life, you got to be determined. Marathons of any type require a level of determination that defies the odds of finishing. It's sad to note that only about 50 to 60% of doctoral students, for example, ultimately finish their degree. There are many reasons why this is so, and many of them are understandably valid, but there is one common factor among those who do. They are determined to finish no matter what. Third, be patient. Continuing the marathon analogy, long distance runners have to stay patient. Sprinters must be disciplined, but they also have to run with urgency in the heat of the moment. Marathoners have to monitor both pace and markers, and they also have to monitor their own bodies along the way. Being patient is more a state of mind than it is a physical reaction. So, whatever you're going through that seems to be taking forever, stay patient long enough to see that you are closer to the finish line than when you started. Sounds kind of elementary, but it's the truth. Like my friend Matt Hastings often says, and I have shared it with many people, you're doing better than you think you are. Fourth, be kind. I'm convinced that kindness is not overrated. I've said it before on this podcast. Being kind does not indicate weakness nor acquiescence to all that is wrong in this world. But who ever created lasting change that won the hearts and minds of people through maltreatment? Evil often wins a battle, but it never really wins the war, even when the conflict is labeled as such. As a Christian, I have grown so weary of vindictive epithets directed at fellow human beings that are, we believe, created in the image of God. I think it's time to wage war on the evils in this world with unfettered kindness, the kind of kindness that I believe can only come from the hand of the Almighty. I'll share two things here in closing. First, if you've been with me during these first several weeks and months of the podcast, I just really appreciate it. It means the world to me. You've encouraged me with notes, just the number of interactions with it online in iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. That's been a big lift. It makes me think maybe there are people out there that want to try to be a part of something that could make a positive difference in this world. And the fact that you've allowed me to share some of my thoughts and those of the guests that I've had with me on the various episodes is just very meaningful to me. So thank you. You have my respect and you have my gratitude. Second, in this marathon we call life, don't give up. Don't become weary in doing good. It's this simple. Just don't quit. Thanks again for being here with me throughout this journey. I'm looking forward to what Michael in the middle and all of the rest of you who are in the middle of doing something good on behalf of others can do for us as a people. I'm excited about it. I believe we're going to be able to change the world for good. With God's help, anything is possible. Just don't quit.